Alrighty, so despite the fact that I am battling very bad allergies right now, and throughout the video, I'll be basically doing this a lot because of my runny nose. The show must go on in terms of me doing the review of match week number 19, and that, of course, is part two of the review where we're looking at the last five games. And also, unfortunately, this also means I have to talk about my team, and yeah, my team had a pretty rough week, let's just say. But let's start with the first game, which is Dallas and St. Louis. So, unlike what we saw with Atlanta United and Rob Valentino taking charge of Atlanta once again as an interim head coach and unable to get a win of him retaking that interim head coach role, for Peter Lucen in his first game under the interim head coach tag, he was able to get a win, and he was able to win 2-0 against St. Louis City. And I have a feeling he can thank Martin Pass for that because, yeah, this was a game where Martin Pass definitely stole it for Dallas in this game. Now, in the first half, 7 minutes in, Vasilev with the game's first shot, but he puts it over the bar before Haas would deny Kojima from long range. And then we had a very scary incident here involving Cecilio Pompeo, who had to be subbed off after a nasty knee injury as Foronson had to replace him. It looks like it might be a broken leg. There's even speculation that it could be a season ending injury. And I also don't know who exactly decided it was a great idea to post the footage of that on the MLS Reddit page, but do yourself a huge favor. Do not watch that footage if you don't like watching gruesome injury because yeah, it was a nasty injury. It was kind of tough to watch. And that, yeah, as I said, this could be a season ender, and if it is a season ender, that is a huge blow to the St. Louis City side because we know how Cecil Pompeo not only offers some energy to this attack, but he's also known to score some wonderful bangers go for St. Louis City as well. But certainly, I wish him a speedy recovery, and that if indeed it's a broken leg, it's gonna take at least a whole season and maybe more. And even then, you don't know exactly if a player that suffered that kind of injury can come back to be the same player that he was. But that being said, in the first shot of the game for Dallas came in the 21st minute, and they saw Musa puts it wide from long range. But then on the second shot of the game, well, before the second shot of the game, a penalty was given to Dallas as Nelson brought down Ariola in the box. And oh, I didn't even write down the goal scored here. And also for this video, do not be surprised if I'm going to be sneezing because again I'm battling bad allergies. But it actually is Jesus Ferro that eventually scores the penalty here for Dallas, and yeah, that gives Dallas a 1-0 lead. Ferguson would look to respond, but he hits it right to Pass before Pass would deny Klaus from long range, and I thought it was a good response for St. Louis that they were pushing to try to get the equalizer. Leggett would then puts it wide off of the deflection. We would get 12 minutes of stoppage time because that's a sale Payu injury took a lot of time off the first half. In the fourth minute of stoppage time, Pos denied Lubin from long range, and then on the other end, Klaus would hit one just wide. And I actually say, thank goodness we have 12 minutes of stoppage because this has been back and forth at least late in the first half. It seems like both of these teams really want to go as we head into the halftime whistle. Ferrer would hit one right to Berkey before Pass would deny Kojima from close range. And then he denied Leuven from the free kick in the 12-minute of stoppage time. And after an endless first half, we do head to halftime with Dallas leading 1-0. In the second half, Pass would deny Klaus from long range as St. Louis was once again on the front foot. They were pushing to get the equalizer. But Pass, once again, has the answer to denying Klaus on the doorstep of goal. And at this point, I basically wrote, yeah, Pass is clearly trying to steal this one for St. Louis. And he's basically showing Roman Berkey that, yeah, you know how many times you've been stealing points for your team with making some good save? Watch this. Hold my beer in terms of how I can do it in this game against your team. Though that being said, in the 72nd minute, and really kind of against the run of play, Logan Farrington would put the ball into the back of the net. Problem was, he was in an offside position, so the goal, of course, didn't count. On the other end, Lubin would hit one right to Pause, but then in the 81st minute, goes see Tafari calls game. He scored from legit to make it 2-0 in favor of Dallas. Lovely delivery there from legit from the corner, and Tafari was there first to hit that one in from the corner. And yeah, just like that, it was 2-0 in favor of Dallas, and that was pretty much game. Like I said, St. Louis really didn't muster too much after that. That was kind of the dagger for them. And yeah, in the end, like I said, Dallas with a 2-0 win in this one. And this is despite the fact that St. Louis outshot Dallas pretty badly in this one. 22 shots compared to 10 that Dallas had. And even though the shots on goal, St. Louis outshot Dallas in shots on goal too. 8 shots on goal compared to 5 that Dallas had. 1 shots off target compared to 5 that St. Louis had. 7 shots that was blocked compared to 4 that Dallas had. And possession wise, 55% possession compared to 45% possession that Dallas has in this game. So, like I said, for Dallas, they can definitely thank Martin Paz in terms of them stealing some points for them, and also not to mention getting the benefit of the new interim head coach boost with Peter Lucen getting a debut win as an interim head coach. But for St. Louis, yeah, they're going the wrong way again. And this has been a miserable season so far for St. Louis City. And again, just no pun intended to add insult to injury. Again, that Pompeo injury. Again, I wish him a speedy recovery because that is a very tough injury to come back and to come back of being the same player as well. But that being said, moving on in terms of the next news, or not the next news, the next game that is Colorado and Austin FC. God, I'm doing a review and not a news of the week. By the way, if you wonder, yes, I am a little bit tired right now, but we're gonna have to do this review before I go to bed. But yeah, in the next game we got the Rapids and Austin FC, and yeah, for the Rapids, they get the 2-0 win in this one, as Austin is definitely heading the wrong direction as well, and they're starting to look like the team what we thought in the beginning of the season, which is, yeah, this team looked like could be destined of not only not making the playoffs, but maybe could finish as one of the worst team in the league with the way that how they've been playing in the last couple of games. In the first half, 3 minutes in, Navarro would have the game's first shot, but he hits it right to Stuvard, as I thought the Rapids were on the front foot, and this looked like it was going to be a typical Austin Road game. We know how Austin Road game is. They don't take a lot of shots. They basically bunker and just kind of pray that they can hit on the counter attack and able to get returned. And to be fair, Josh Wolf team has been at times been very successful in terms of that. But as the old saying goes, I mean, you can only ride those luck for so long until it's clearly not working. And at least in these last couple of games, it clearly has not been working for this Austin Seaside. But that being said, the shots were only two apiece, or at least, or actually not two apiece. There was only 2 shots. 20 minutes in, both of them belonged to the Colorado Rapids, and on their third shot, it goes in. As Cole Bassett would score from Fernandez here to make it 1-0 in favor of the Rapids. Fernandez did look to get on the score sheet himself, but he hits this one right to Stuvard. And then on the other end, Orien had a shot that took a deflection, which almost sneaked into the front post and almost got through Zach Steffen, and then O'Brien will close it wide from close range, as Austin, for once, they're starting to show some life in this one. Though it kind of makes sense because, you can't really just bunker and basically pray for a counterattack when you're already down 1-0 early in the game. Stuver then denied Bassett from close before Bassett put it wide on the curler in the 45th minute. Cole Bassett had another good game in this one. And we do head to halftime with the Rapids leading 1-0. They would make it 2-0 not long into the second half, as Navarro would score here to make it 2-0, as Rafael Navarro continue his hot streak. And there's no doubt that it's not even a debate anymore that the Rapids has to exercise that purchase option. I believe it's going to be like July when they have the time, or that's kind of the deadline for them if they want to purchase Rafael Navarro on a permanent deal, and there's no doubt they have to do so. Consider how red hot he's been this season. Though that being said, Stuber would deny Cabral from close, as the Post would then deny Navarro and the Rapids their third goal up to this point. I wrote the second goal, but the Rapids are already 2-0 up to this point. Again, I did this board relatively late last night after when I finished my first part of the review, so obviously there's going to be some mistakes. But the Rapids were definitely in full control of this game as they were pressing for a third goal. Keep in mind, this is at this point there was 4 games that was at the same time, so I kind of didn't really pay too much attention to it and started paying attention to my team, and then of course I stopped paying attention to my team, especially this game late because of what happened in the other games that was going on. But there was a shout for a handball that was not given to Austin. Mihajlovic then hits one onto the roof of the net, and really, as the time winds down, Colorado seems like they were just sitting back and just kind of cruise their way to this win. They didn't look some transitional opportunity, but they allow Austin to kind of dictate the play, which is something that Austin doesn't really do very well at. But That being said, in the 82nd minute, Driussi would puts it over from close, and then he hits it wide from close range in the first minute of stoppage time. And yeah, in the end, the Rapids with a comfortable 2-0 victory over Austin. The shots in this one, 14 shots compared to 9 that Austin has. And yes, that's a 9, not a 4. I know it doesn't read very well. But only one shot on goal compared to 7 that the Rapids had. 3 shots off target for the 5 that Austin had. 2 shots off block for the 3 that the Rapids had. And possession wise, 55% possession compared to 45% possession the Rapids has in this game. So good performance here for the Rapids to get all 3 points at home. But for Austin FC, again, you can only have those kind of lucky resort as what we seen before during that stretch when they were doing very well until yeah things are going to come back at you. I mean, I'm never a huge believer in terms of expectancy go and look at the XG number, but yeah, doing that good run, it was pretty clear that Austin was playing way over the XG, almost very similar to what we saw in their second season. And while it was kind of incredible that they kind of kept that up for the entire second season, yeah, we've seen it so many times where it's almost impossible to try to keep that up. You cannot keep playing over your heads and basically over the amount of XG before it starts. Those numbers gonna start to show up in terms of performance, and these last couple of performance from Los Verdes has been really rough to watch. Speaking of the last couple of performances that's been rough to watch, I can say the same thing about Minnesota. So honestly, I wasn't surprised the fact that they lost to Seattle in this one. I know this is probably the worst Seattle team that Minnesota has played when they're playing them at Lumen Field, but it's almost given that the rule about Minnesota United is the fact that they cannot win against the Seattle Sounders, both at home or on the road. Well, except one. There was a one occasion that they did win against the Sounders, but besides that, I mean, they just are not allowed to beat the Sounders, whether they're good or not, and especially they're not allowed to do so when they are pretty much been dealing with injuries and also international duty absence for these last couple of games, and they're gonna have to continue to do so for at least until Copa America is going to be over. In the first half, there was a delay for this game because the Sounders decided to create a 50th anniversary ceremony, and this is why I decided to wear a Sounders retro kit. Now, obviously, this is not the thing that they were back in 1974, but it's close enough because if they are celebrating their 50th anniversary, why not break out the orchid? Kind of shirt that I have. I really love this orca tie dye shirt, and I really wish that with the new logo that the Sounders have had, and I know in their new kit that they do have the orca in part of the jerseys. I wish they could have gone with just having the logo being an Orca kit because I do love the Orca kit, and I know that they don't want to move away from the iconic Space Needle logo, but if they're gonna include the Space Needle logo, why not include the Orca logo as well, or at least trying to create a jersey that has that Orca kind of logo kind of effect like what we've seen in previous Sounders logos. But that being said, 10 seconds in, there was already a clash of heads between Padelfor and Alex Rodon. Both of those players did not return in this game. So, yeah, in a game where we already had delay because of the ceremony, and then 10 seconds in, we had more delay because of a clash of heads. Somebody tells me, yeah, this game is going to have no rhythm whatsoever, isn't it? Because usually that's kind of the case when you have a ceremony before the game, and not surprisingly, that was the case. I mean, it was a bore fest. Nobody can really string any possession whatsoever in the final third. But that all changed in the 29th minute, as in the 29th minute, Jordan Morris would score from Rusnak to give the Sounders a 1-0 lead. So Jordan Morris is starting to figure things out. That's now back-to-back games that he has scored a goal. But that being said, yeah, that was not great set-piece defending from the Loons. The Loons have been pretty good this season in terms of defending set pieces. That was not an example of it, as Ariaga just completely lost Morris there. Well, he didn't really lost Morris, but he did not do a good job in terms of marking Morris, and just like that, the Sounders were leading 1-0. The Loons continue to be lifeless on the attack. That's been kind of a theme for this team on the road the last couple of games, and this is where I do have some real concerns, especially with the way that they have not really looked like anything like they were a couple of weeks ago, or even a couple of months ago doing this good run. And I think that that can happen when you basically really, have a squad that is just completely depleted coming into this game because of injuries or international duty or even suspension as well. But in the 45th minute, Vargas would hit one into the side netting before Irvin denied Morris on a 1v1. The Loons needed halftime badly because Seattle was pushing hard to try to get the second goal. Fortunately for Minnesota, they do head to halftime only down 1-0 against the Sounders. In the second half, Roughrug would miss an absolute sitter in the front post. He missed an empty net there in the front post, and I immediately wrote, will this chance come back to haunt the Sounders? Because this is a team that has known to give up late goals this season, and this is a thing that they got to stop doing. And this is also a team that is not known to not get that crucial second goal that would come back to haunt them later in this game. Spoiler alert, that wouldn't be a factor late in this one. Though, that being said, Clark did hit one right to Fry before Longwane would hit it high on the curler. And I also wrote it's looking a little bit better for the Loons on the attack. But the question is, so far, most of these chances hasn't really been some clear cut chances. Though that being said, in the 56th minute, Caden Clark almost puts one in from long range there, and then just 1 minute later, Seattle gets their second goal, and it's a redemption story too because Paul Rodrock, after he had a horror miss just 10 minutes ago, just 2 minutes into the half, he makes up for it, and almost kind of an identical play too because this was a ball that was playing in the middle. It was an absolute sitter there, and this time Rothrock was not going to miss. He buries that one, and I wrote, this is done. Like, this is over. The Loons are not coming back from this one. And at least Eric Ramsey think that that is the case because after Irvin denied Rusnak from close range, he basically decided to wave the white flag. He started bringing some of the reserve coming into this game. Erickson, one of those reserve, he hits it high from close range. And then we had a red card in the 89th minute. So yeah, I'm pretty sure this is something that Sounders fans are accustomed to because red cards seems to be a common theme for the Sounders this year. But one thing that's not a common theme is that they're the one that is on the other end of benefiting from a red card. As Moses Nyman, of course, get himself sent off. By the way, they did go to VAR to check whether or not his foul on Rustak is worthy of red. I didn't even had to look too much into the VAR replay, and I immediately just wrote that as a red because yeah, that challenge there, it was a studs up behind the tackle on Rusnak, just kind of almost like a leg breaker there. That is always going to be violent conduct, and indeed it is. So yeah, that of course means that Minnesota finished with just 10 men. It really didn't matter because up to this point, it was pretty much garbage time in the last 25 minutes. And yeah, in the end, Seattle walks away with an easy 2-0 win. They haven't had a lot of those this season. Shots in this one, 11 shots for the 5 that Minnesota has. By the way, if you're a neutral and you watch this game and you didn't watch the other under two game late night game, I definitely send my condolences because yeah, well, this game was a bore fest. The other two games that I'll talk about in the other board was absolutely entertaining to watch. Although one of those game we kind of knew it was entertaining because it involved the LA Galaxy. But the shots off target, 4 shots off target for both of these teams. 3 shots that was blocked for the one that Minnesota has, and possession wise, 58% possession compared to the 42% possession that Minnesota has in this game. It is pretty clear that Minnesota needs some reinforcement. I mean, I know that obviously this team is definitely stripped down because of the missing players due to international duty, suspension, and injuries. But the bottom line is they need some reinforcement badly, and I don't think they can wait until the summer transfer window, even though it's kind of feel like they have to because of the way that I think the transfer window in MLS doesn't open until July, so they can't really bring in some reinforcement as a resort of that. They're pretty much going to have to just tread water at least in these next couple of games. And this is also where I'm kind of glad that they got a lot of points during the stretch between April and May because I always thought that getting into June with the way that there was a possibility that this team was going to be decimated because of either national team call for the Copa America or the Euros or even injuries as we've seen with this team at times. Yeah, I knew this was going to be a tough stretch, and Minnesota is just kind of in that right now. But Seattle wouldn't care. They needed this win badly. They haven't had these kind of resort a lot this season, and we'll just hope whether this kind of resort can build things up. It feels like every time that they have these kind of resort, then things kind of fall apart again, and the Sounders are just kind of stuck in a mediocre range. But we'll see whether or not if this maybe will be the resort to kick off the Sounders and get them have a bit of an unbeaten run or a good run of form in these next couple of games. Well, that being said, instead of me just kind of switching the board, I'm just gonna do it on the fly because why not? Why not do it on the fly? There's only 5 games to review. Technically, I didn't even need to do a timestamp for this because I don't think this video is going to be very long. Though these next 2 games, with the way that it's very exciting, it might take a little longer for me to explain what happened in these next 2 games. But either way, the next game that we're going to talk about is the Quakes and FC Cincinnati. And if there's a game that is basically a microcosm and just kind of sums up what is it like to be a San Jose Earthquakes fan, this game basically sums it up because you know how this team always tends to give me hope, and I always wrote that when they give me hope, it's too good to be true. That's because it is too good to be true. I mean, I knew that when they took the lead against Cincinnati, they weren't going to hold on to it. What I didn't know is that they would do a repeat of what they did against NYCFC late in this game as well. Now, in the first half, the first shot of the game did see Salatano tip a Bobasi shot over. Before the first shot of or actually, I don't know why I wrote for shot of the game twice. I would say the second shot of the game, see Akapo puts it wide from long range. The shot were 2-0 for the Quakes as they've been the protagonists, at least early in this game. They were dictating play as Cincinnati was just elected to sit back and trying to get themselves into the game. The first shot for Cincy did see Kelsey hits one right to Yarbrough before Lopez puts it wide from long range. Pellegrino then missed an absolute sitter from close range because that's just kind of the season that Amal Pellegrino has. He did not live up to the amount that the Quakes were paying it. And uh, heading into the season. Really, on a night where I also thought the Quakes are heavy underdogs coming into this game because they're facing against one of the best team in the league. In fact, if Cincinnati would have got themselves in the supporter show standing, this would be in a battle between the first place team and the last place team. And how many times I talk about even in a mismatch battle like that, this is MLS. Anything can happen. You have seen that there's even times where the worst team in the league can pull off a big upset against the best team in the league. Though, again, on a night where the Quakes were heavy underdog, they have to put away these chances that they're given. Because if you don't, here comes Lucho Acosta trying to chip Yarbrough from long range, or from close range, but he puts this one high, and then he puts it high from long range in the 32nd minute as Cincy was starting to get into this game. Well, the shots were still 4 apiece up to that point for both of these teams. Oriano then hits it right to Yarbrough in the 40th minute, but we do head to halftime with the Quakes and Cincinnati tie up at 0-0. It's kind of crazy the fact that this game was 0-0 at halftime, and all 6 of these goals came in the second half. In the second half, Mooney would hit one onto the roof of the net, but then in the 53rd minute, Cincinnati takes the lead. As Pavel Buka would score his first career MLS goal, and he can thank Jackson Yo for that because, yeah, that was just a WTF turnover there from Jackson Yo. He gave it straight to Buka. Yeah, that just sums up the season for the Quakes, and just a play that sums up the way that the Quakes have defended this season. It's just been non-existent defending this year. Espinoza did look to answer, but he hits this one right to Sautano. But then in the 57th minute, the Quakes would respond as Lopez would score here to tie the game up at 1 apiece. So despite the fact that the Quakes have been very bad this season, Hernan Lopez has been at least a bright spark in this team. But it is pretty clear that I really feel bad for Hernan Lopez. Yeah, if he was joining a club and we're hoping that it was going to be winning, yeah, he probably joined the wrong club because even though he's trying to do his best to carry this team on the attack, it's just not going to be enough because of how bad the defense is. And I also thought that one probably Santano would want to have that back because of the way that he gave up the juicy rebound there. Santano does have habits at time. I think he has gave up juicy rebounds, and that was kind of one of those moments, and one that the Quakes got benefit out of that as the game was tied up at 1 apiece. Pellegrino then was in on goal there, but his shot was actually blocked by Miazga, and then Miazga, as he blocked that shot, he actually had his leg clipped onto the post, and yeah, that not only got to hurt, but he actually had to be stretchered off because of it. No idea how serious that injury is, but I already heard Cincinnati fans are very said about the playing condition at PayPal Park, and that kind of played part of it. Why Miazga kind of clip his leg basically kind of smashed onto the post because he was slipping because of it. I'm not gonna disagree with that. The playing condition at PayPal Park, and this is ever since they built the stadium, it has been atrocious. I mean, no matter what they have done in terms of trying to fix the pitch, it just haven't worked. I would say that at least it's a little bit better compared to before, where before it was basically like an ice rink. But even with this new service, it just have not worked whatsoever. And I don't understand what is it with stadium pitch and stadium field that these venue in the South Bay that can't they don't do a good job, because I know Levi Stadium is another stadium that has problem when it comes to the pitch, and we're seeing once again with PayPal Park. Is it because it's too hot in the South Bay? Because that can't be the reason. But nevertheless, in the 75th minute, all the Quakes surprisingly took the lead as Espinoza would score from Costa to make it 2-1 in favor of the Quakes. I mean, wrote this is too good to be true. That's because it is too good to be true. Because after Buka curled one wide on the curler, in the 78th minute, Yaya Kubo would score. He scored from Acosta and Valenzuela, and what a world class ball this is from Lucho Acosta. I mean, he pretty much put this one on a frozen some rope, played it right into the path of Yaya Kubo on this counter attack. And that's why Lucho Acosta is the reigning MVP, and definitely shows you why he's such a class player, one of the best number 10 in this league. And then just 2 minutes later, guess what? It's the same combination. Kubo scored from Acosta and Valenzuela to make it get 3-2 for Cincinnati. And then just 7 minutes later, they basically shut the door. And guess what? It's Yaya Kubo again. He scored from Acosta to make it 4-2 in favor of Cincinnati. And I know Yaya Kubo is going to get the headline because of that the hat trick, and he also become the eighth substitute in MLS history to come off the bench and score a hat trick. Funny thing though is that the seventh player that scored a hat trick coming off the bench was literally last week with Alonso Martinez doing it against the Quakes. And again, it just feels like it's deja vu all over again with the Quakes. As soon as they gave up goal late in this game, they just completely capitulate. Very similar to what I see with Chris Leach team back in 2017, and it happened again. Just completely capitulated in this one. And I even wrote it's basically a repeat of the last game where the Quakes just pummel after giving up a goal late and end up giving a hat trick to a substitute. So I think the next game that the Quakes play is against the Portland Timbers. Mind you, the Portland Timbers have never scored a hat trick in their club history, but I'm pretty sure that I would not be surprised if history will be made, especially with the fact that the Quakes already made history twice by giving a hat trick to the opposition substitute 2 games running, and that I will not be surprised for 3 games running they could do the same thing, and in the process also giving the Timbers history of seeing their first player ever score a hat trick in their club history. But that being said, in the 9th minute of stoppage time, Espinoza puts it high from long range, and then Morales heads it wide from close. I don't even know why I was still taking notes up to this point. This game was pretty much over. And yeah, in the end, Cincinnati with a 4-2 win in this one. The shots in this one, there was a lot of shots in this one. 20 shots apiece for both of these teams. 8 shots on goal for the 7 that Cincinnati has. 7 shots off target for the 8 that the Quakes had. 5 shots that was blocked for the 6 that Cincinnati has. And possession-wise, 55% possession compared to 45% possession the Quakes has in this game. And yeah, I don't really need to say too much about the Quakes. They are a very bad team. They're bound to look like they're going to win the wooden spoon and has the worst defensive record. But for Cincinnati, they face some adversity, but when you do face against the worst team in the league, you're going to at least sometimes get that gift of able to come from behind late, and that's exactly what they did in this game. Now, moving on into the last game that I'm going to be reviewing for match week number 14, or not match week number 14, match week number 19, that is the Galaxy and Sporting KC, and this game is probably the most LA Galaxy game I've seen this season, because throughout this season I talked about how Galaxy games are just kind of nonstop action. Guess what? It happened in this one as well. Now, early on, they were on the front foot as they were pushing to try to get the opener, that is the Galaxy. We then get a mid-game interview between the commentator and former Galaxy player Robbie B. Rogers. I'm not a big fan of mid-game interview, and I've said this many times before, even during the time when Fox decided to do it, and then they decided to even go one further by interviewing the head coach in the middle of the game. Which, yeah, I'm glad they stopped doing that, because that is something that nobody liked. The fans don't like it, the players don't like it, and the coach especially don't like it, because been times where there's just so many awkward kind of moment with the coaches are saying, "Why am I getting interviewed in the middle of the game when I'm trying to organize my team and so forth?" But that being said, in the 16th minute, Milia would deny Perez in the near post. And again, for those wondering why I don't like mid game interview, I don't think soccer is a sport is a sport that I would like to see here mid game interview, and it just feels like it's a distraction. In baseball, it works perfectly because baseball is more of a slow paced game. Soccer is not that kind of it. And I know people will say, "Well, is it how is soccer not slow paced because there's not a lot of goals that scored?" There could be times where games can be very fast paced, and in a game where I know when a Galaxy team is involved, you know it's going to be fast paced, and I just feel like just having a mid game interview, even though it's celebrating a legend and especially on his bobblehead night, I just feel like it was kind of an inappropriate time and I just never like it when I hear a mid game interview between the commentator and a special guest. But that being said, McCarthy would then deny Rodriguez, but he spilled this one right to Polito, and he had a chance to put that one in, but McCarthy makes a save here, and he got to make amends for it because he got away with this one, giving up a juicy rebound right into the path of Polito. He's lucky the fact that Polito has really struggled this season because this was Polito a couple of years ago. That's in the back of the net 9 out of 10 times. I would say maybe 99 out of 100 times. But this season, it's just has not happened for Alan Polito. He's been absolutely snake bitten this year. But in the 25th minute, Vargas would heads it wide from close range. There was a shout for a penalty for the Galaxy not given, but then in the 39th minute, the Galaxy does take the lead. It's Joveljic that gets the lead for the Galaxy. Yeah, this was absolutely horrendous defending from Sporting KC. So I talk about how the Quakes are being bad in terms of defending. Sporting KC is kind of like near that level, especially in this game. Like literally just ball watching from players, and then Kyrie Shelton just kind of had a controller disconnect moment. Like he was literally just standing there watching those two save that is being made, and knowing that Kyrie Shelton is definitely one of the more hated player in the Sporting KC fan base. Yeah, I can't imagine how many Sporting KC fans would lick their chops in terms of once again criticizing Kyrie Shelton of just having it just kind of a controller disconnect kind of moment in that play. Though that being said, in the 43rd minute, Peck would hit one right to Milia. Now, Milia would immediately get up, and I think it was Jovic the one was impeding him of taking this quickly. Emilia was not having it. In fact, he actually punched Jovic as Jovic was impeding the goal kick that is taken. Jovic would actually get a yellow card because of it. Amelia doesn't get anything out of that. And I mean, wrote Sounders fans is in shambles because, in case of any Sounders fan, we're also keeping eye on this one. They must have PTSD of that moment when Tim Melia basically did a WWE move on the Sounders, and I think it was Alex Rodon the one that was the victim of that WWE move that Tim Melia made. And by the way, in that moment, Tim Melia didn't get a car in that game. So I feel like at this point, Tim Melia is basically immune to those things. He's a guy that can commit WWE and UFC move at the same time, and he will have no consequences whatsoever. But anyway, still, all kidding aside, that should have been a red card for Tim Melia, and again, he got away with one, just like he did a couple of years against the Sounders. Now we do head to halftime though, with the Galaxy leading 1-0 in the second half. Why are we doing another mid-game interview? This time they decided to bring Julian Araujo onto the broadcast. Now, again, I know that in the beginning they decided bringing Robbie Roger, and I didn't like it, but I can sort of understand why because it's a small head nine. Why in the world did you decide to bring in Julian Araujo? And that I know it just happened to be that he was at this game, but there was really no reason for them to bring him in this one. Though at least I think for Galaxy fans, they wouldn't care too much because after Polito puts it high from the near post in the 54th minute, and they were still doing the mid-game interview with Julian Araujo. Gabriel Peck would score from Jovic and Yamane to give the Galaxy a 2-0 lead. So yeah, again, I'm pretty sure Galaxy fans say why not invite Julian Araujo into the booth more time or not because when he's in the booth. They score goals. But in the 58th minute, Tommy would then look to answer, but he missed wide from close range, and then Castellanos almost scored an own goal there as he was trying to clear that one away, and it goes over. But then in the 64th minute, Frifa would score here from Tommy to give Sporting KC some life, and that feels like it was a momentum changer because after that goal, Sporting KC started to take control of the momentum. Agata had a free header here, but he missed wide there. So another talk about another guy that's been stake bitten this season for Sporting KC. Both William Agata and Alan Polito, they cannot buy a goal for Sporting KC this season. And like I said, just like that, the momentum now with Sporting, they were the one that were controlling the game. They were pressing for the equalizer. But then in the 75th minute, the Galaxy would restore that 2-goal lead. It's Joseph Painso. He scored from Peck and Yamane, and really that was a classic Galaxy goal. They hit Sporting KC on the counterattack. The number one rule when you're faced against the Galaxy, you cannot let them hit you on the transition. Sporting KC didn't get that memo, though not surprising because their defense has been basically made out of cheese up to this point. So yeah, that made it 3-1 up to this point. Castellanos did look to answer, but he puts that one high. And then McCarthy absolutely robbed Agata from point blank effort. Again, Agata, he must be thinking what he has to do to score a goal. He's just not be allowed to score a goal, at least in the last couple of games. But at the same time, that was an incredible save there from McCarthy. And I also thought that it just cannot be easy for the Galaxy, isn't it? Because they just have to make this interesting. And guess what happened in the first minute? On the ensuing corner, after that amazing save from McCarthy, it was all for naught because Castellanos would score from Russell here from the set piece. Speaking of it can't be easy. Well, it can't be easy for the Galaxy when they keep giving up set piece goal left and right. That's been their Achilles heel. And I also Monroe, it's not a Galaxy game. If it wasn't just for some crazy amount of dramas with some optional defending at time in this one. Afrifa then trying to make it free, but he puts it high from long range before Agata missed wide from close range because of course Agata missed wide from close. Again, the Galaxy was just holding on up to this point. Sporting KC clearly have the momentum now. They were pressing to get the equalizer. Though on the other end, Melia would deny Painso from close range, and then in the fourth minute stoppage time, the Galaxy finally decided to put this game to bed once and for all. As Miguel Berry would score from Peck and Fagundes to make it 4-2 in this game. By the way, this game, I was basically glued to this game for the last 20 minutes. So that, I mean, well, I was kind of glued to this game and also seeing this meltdown that the Quakes, of course, was having at the same time. So I wasn't really paying too much attention to the Seattle versus Minnesota game, which is why I didn't really write any notes whatsoever past the 65th minute mark because yeah, this game and this game it was kind of crazy. It was MLS after dark from what we've seen in both of these games with some goals that would just go scoring left and right. But yeah, in the end, just like this game, the scoreline ended 4-2, but it's the home team that gets the 4-2 win as the Galaxy get the 4-2 win against Sporting KC. The shots in this game, Sporting KC actually outshot the Galaxy 20-11, but the Galaxy had 10 shots on goal in this one. So they 10 of the 11 shot went on target. They were definitely lethal in the attack in this game compared to just 4 that Sporting KC had. 9 shots off target compared to none that the Galaxy had. 1 shot that was blocked for the 7 that Sporting KC had, and possession-wise, 53% possession compared to 47% possession the Galaxy has in this game. And again, I said this many times before, and I'll say it again. The Galaxy cannot keep doing this. I understand that they have a really good attack, but they just simply cannot have these kind of resort where they expected that. Well, we're just gonna keep outscoring opponent, and that's gonna be enough to get us to be one of the contender in the Western Conference. Because as I said many times before, this is not sustainable, and also just this is not a way you want to play in the playoffs and expect for you to go on a deep run. We usually don't see a lot of these teams that has just the leakiest defense, one of the leakiest defense in the league, but also have one of the greatest attack in the league. Ends up to do very well in the playoffs. So that is going to be something that the Galaxy needs to fix. And there's no doubt that I think in the summer they're going to once again do the thing that they've been trying to do for really almost half a decade now, trying to find some defensive reinforcement. Hope that it'll finally stick. And if it doesn't, just hope and pray that this will work. I mean, it works at least for some of the times, but there's also times where it just hasn't worked whatsoever, and they're probably thankful the fact that they're playing against one of the worst team in the league. Because imagine if they do play like this against some of the better team, they're not gonna get these kind of resort that goes in their way. And I mean, it's entertaining to watch, and in some way, the Galaxy really kind of reminds me of the Almeida team, a team that just are very good on the attack, but at the back it is leaky at best. And the Galaxy are definitely playing that kind of brand of soccer. And as a Quakes fan and living through that Mateus Almeida experience, it's fun to watch if you're a neutral, but it is not a fun experience to have a roller coaster ride like the Galaxy has done throughout this season. Um, and that the only good thing is that at least the Galaxy are winning compared to when Almeida was in charge of the Quakes and playing something similar to this. The Quakes weren't really winning a lot of games. But there you have it. That is pretty much it for the review of these 5 games. As always, let me know in the comments below what do you think of this review. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys hit like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.